Welcome to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. This podcast was created for the boomer woman leaving corporate, and now you're looking to reinvent yourself, become an author, an entrepreneur, a podcaster. Well, each episode will leave you with clarity. You will come away with the yes, I can and yes, I will reinvent myself mindset. So come on, let's do this. I'm your host, Margot Levette. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Wow, do I have a great conversation in store for you today. Let me just start out by reading this lady's fabulous quote. Talent creates magic, and magic is what makes you money. And isn't it what we all want to do? Have to do. We need to make some money. But what about the element of magic? Big Ideal facilitator and mentor Yvonne Di Vita is with me today. Thank you, Yvonne. And let's dive into this subject of talent creating magic. What is this all about?
Well, Margot, thank you so much for having me, because when we met on LinkedIn, and this is all going to go into the whole talent and magic thing. When we met, it was just an immediate connection, even though we didn't see each other, we didn't hear each other. We were just kind of talking to each other there. And I felt the magic that you have come through in the conversation. And so when I say talent creates magic, and then magic makes you money, I want women to understand. Back to the magic.
Like a Skype call. Yeah, we're back to the magic.
The whole magic is when I see women creating jewelry, creating fashion, creating things with their hands, and doing the kinds of things that that requires the creativity of a woman's mind. I think it's magic. And that's where it comes from. So a lot of these women then want to build a business out of that. And so I want to help them do that. I want to help them take that magic into making some money. Like you said, we all want to make money. And I want to see that magic come alive in everything they do. I mean, I meet women who make these fantastic things. And let me tell you, Margot, I am a writer by trade. So my magic is in my writing. Mm-hmm. I'm just fascinated by people who make things with their hands. Yes. And that's where the whole idea came from. When I saw women making these magical things, to me, they're magical things because I can't do it. I wanted them to understand that that's a talent they have and that they can make money with it if they want to. And I'm here to help them.
I think that is magical, and that's fantastic, because when I hear you speak, and I think about women that work with their hands, some people say, oh, that's just something that I do. I just do that. It's just a small thing, and the rest of us are looking like, holy cow, this is
right.
Great. Give me all that you have, We downplay what we just automatically know how to do. Do you agree with that statement?
That is the most important statement ever. And I personally am talking about women of a certain age, we'll say. So a lot of the women I meet and talk to are women over 50, mm-hmm. for instance. And we especially have been taught that we're not supposed to be vocal, that we're not supposed to talk about ourselves, that we're not supposed to promote ourselves, that, we are supposed to be quiet. Yes. And I'm here to say, stop being quiet.
Yes.
And the sad thing is I'm meeting younger women that feel the same way. So you and I, we want to teach them, use your voice, because your voice is important.
And a person's story, when we had our conversation via LinkedIn, and thank you, LinkedIn, so very much, I learned so much about you. I mean, you have lived quite a life and the experiences that you have. So I think that all of us, why should we tamper down what we know, what we've experienced, what we've felt? Somebody so needs to hear our stories. So why stay quiet? That's one thing that I love about podcasting. And there are some people who say, oh my God, podcasting, I'm over 50. How am I going to do that? Oh, the technical part of this and that. Hey, you know what? Get on that horse and ride it. Let the world know what you're all about. The technical part can be, you can conquer that. But Yvonne is so right. Let's just get on and let's just do it. Let's have our say, okay?
Yeah, and because it isn't it isn't trying to compete with other women who have a lot of initials after their name, so they must be very good at speaking and doing whatever it is they do. No, because they have the same fears and lack of confidence that the woman just starting out who has perhaps been in a not in a corner office job, but still helping support whatever company that she worked at. Well, now she wants to go out on her own and begin a business. And she thinks that, well, she's not as important as this woman who had the corner office. And the woman in the corner office, interestingly, is afraid to go out and do the things that she sees the woman who was at the front desk do, because honestly, the woman at the front desk got to talk to everybody who came in. And she was a very important person without realizing it. These are two different women, two different views, but they have the same fears. They aren't quite sure how to get out there and use their voice effectively in the talent and work that they want to do. Sure, they can do what they used to do because they're good at what they used to do, but it's time. It's time to say, I am a goddess. And I own this talent that I have. So, Mara, when I'm talking about talent, it could be jewelry making, it could be fashion design, it could be photography or cake decorating, or it could be teaching, it could be doing webinars, it could be helping people learn something that you have experience in. Kind of what I do. That's what I do, and I want women to embrace that. And so when you do that, you begin to use that voice and tell that story and begin to be proud of, hey, you're right. I do have a story that is worth telling. And Marta, wouldn't you say that when we tell our own story, when we're aware of it and proud of it and able to own it, it serves us very well, as opposed to trying to tell a story about this made up woman that people tell us we should talk about. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. And you know what? In all honesty, I felt when I came out of corporate, I felt as though there was a mold that I should fit as far as this moving into becoming a podcaster and who's going to want to listen to you. And you have to speak a certain way and you have to present a certain way. And, you know, that lasted maybe 3 shows. And then it was like, no. I am me and I have to do this the way I'm going to do it. And you know what, Yvonne, I think that you come to feeling though, I have a right to do this the way
Bravo.
I have a right. You know what? I have lived a long time and I've experienced a lot and I've invested in myself and I have a right to stand the way I want to stand, to speak the way I want to speak, break up verbs and nouns and everything the way I want to, but let people know who I am. And man, the liberty that comes out of that is amazing.
Oh, isn't it? And you begin to understand that you watch when you talk to people, you watch that suddenly they're listening. They're listening because now you're talking about the real you. When I go to a website and I look up someone on the web for whatever reason, and their about page says, she went to this school and she got these awards and she did this and she did that and then she did this. I look at it and say, who is she? Whereas I did this, I'm proud of who I am. I fell down and I got back up and I kept going.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my. Yes. That's why you are the big idea facilitator and the mentor, because you have this awesome way of bringing these things out of women. I can tell that you're just so focused, and you put a person to ease so that they have no reason not to be transparent, and they have no reason not to look at that thing that makes them alive and what they really ought to be doing. Especially as boomers, we have to give ourselves permission, and you, dear lady, help give women permission to be about what they're supposed to be about. So I have to applaud you right now. I didn't want to go any deeper in this conversation without saying that you give women permission to do what they're supposed to do. And thank you.
It's interesting you say that, because that is exactly what I tell people, that women have to get permission. We're so used to having to get permission. I need permission in a meeting to stand up and say something. I need permission to go to the ladies' room. I need permission to raise my kids. So you don't need permission, number one. But if you do, here, I'll give it to you. Mm-hmm. You have permission now. You have permission to be who you are and who you want to be. And in the whole big facilitating part of it, so being the big idea facilitator, my role then is, first of all, to give them the permission, but then to help guide them and mentor them along the path. Because again, as we said, in the beginning, I remember when I was just starting out, and I had no clue, Margot. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur, but I sure knew that I was not happy being an employee. Mm-hmm. And even when I was a manager at a company where I helped them with their marketing, and they wouldn't let me do the things that I kept telling them, we need to do this on the web, we need to do this. And they'd be like, no, we don't want to. And why did you hire me? So I went out on my own, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And it took me a couple of years to begin giving myself permission to go to networking events and not stand in the corner.
Yes.
And that's when everything started. When I came out of the corner and I started listening to other people's stories, and I started understanding that many of them were telling, as you said, they were telling the story someone else told them to tell. Mm-hmm. Because when we would get into these personal conversations one-on-one, the story was different. Mm-hmm. And I would say to them, why are you telling that story?
Yeah.
So they had to be taught. So I will teach them. Mm-hmm. Makes me happy.
We really don't know. I mean, and some people, they are intimidated to say, I don't know. I listened to you, just so transparently said, I came out of corporate, I became an entrepreneur, and I did not know. You know how transparent and bold that is. Women don't usually want to say that. You were singing my song, exactly, and I'm learning. I'm still learning. There's tons to get through, but that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you heard her. She came out of corporate and she said she didn't know. And guess what? She was all right with not knowing. It was better than staying in corporate. Am I right?
Oh, please. I mean, I think here's the funny story there. I was recently divorced, and so I had been home with my children for 15 years. Wow. 15 years, Marco. So I go out into the world and I get a job, and I don't get along real well with my boss. Mm-hmm. Funny thing is, all the other employees and the clients love me, but my boss didn't like me. And it made me cry. I would go home and I would cry and say, what am I doing wrong? Mm-hmm. And finally I said, I can't stay there because this is really making me feel like an awful person. Like, what's wrong with me? So I got a different job, and so on and so on. I went through like 3 or 4 jobs. And my son, who was in high school at the time, said, Mom, why can't you stay in one job? Why do you keep getting new jobs? And I said, son, I will keep moving jobs and changing jobs until I find one that makes me happy. Mm-hmm. And the one that made me happy was being an entrepreneur.
Wow. 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 I love that. What a story. And you know what, Yvonne, so many people can relate to that. When they listen to this conversation and they really look at their own lives, why am I going from job to job to job? Maybe it's time for me to write that book. Maybe it's time for me to begin my own business. Maybe it's probably time for me to listen to my gut, get with Yvonne Di Vita, and let's explore what's really going on with me and how can I make this happen. That's what I'm
Oh,
hearing as
oh,
you
it
tell your story.
it is, and I wrote a book, and it was about marketing to women who shop online. And Margot, I cashed in a life insurance policy.
Hmm.
That's what I did. I said I have to have money to support myself to write this book, and then I'm going to launch my business. And I said to myself, well, what do I have? What do I have? Where are my assets? What assets do I want to take out a home equity loan? No, I don't want to do that.
Hmm.
Do I want to work part-time? Can I write a book and work part-time at the same time? Some people can, but I knew I couldn't. So
Hmm.
I cashed in a life insurance policy. And I look back at that day and I remember my agent saying to me, this is a bad idea, Yvonne. You shouldn't be doing this, Yvonne. And boy, am I glad I did.
I'm
That's
glad
all I
you
can
did
tell you.
too. Oh my goodness. So many women that I speak to, that's where's the money coming from to write the book? Where's the money coming from to even launch the podcast? Where's the money coming from to go ahead and get started? And I mean, you are just so transparent. You even gave us that nugget. Problem solved. If we look at what we have, we probably already have what we need. Correct?
That is perfect. That is perfect. And when we look at what we have, sometimes we don't even understand what we have. So, for instance, I could do that because I was divorced. My husband was no longer telling me what to do,
Hmm.
which, hey, gee, maybe that's why I got divorced. Anyway, uh, so I could do that. Other women have assets they don't even realize they have. And sometimes, I'll tell you a little secret. Sometimes the assets they have are in the talent and magic that they make. So maybe they start small. Maybe they don't. Everyone has these great grand ideas. We all do it. We're going to be these wonderful, big, successful people, and we're going to go on TV, and we're going to be you know, well dressed and have our makeup on every day. And that's great. You can do that. I believe in you. You will make it happen, but it isn't going to happen tomorrow. So
Hmm.
let's take it one step at a time here. So let's say that you have these talents and these products that you can make. Why not learn how to sell them and then slowly build yourself up to that wonderful uh, business that you want to create? And some people don't. They just want that small business. But regardless, Margot, doesn't it always take one step at a time?
Yes, yes, it does. And nothing happens overnight. We don't leave corporate 1 week and the next, we'll say maybe we'll give it a month. We're just rolling in millions. It doesn't happen that way. Oh,
Margot, your story is so, when you told me your story, I was just bowled over because it is so perfect. You also have done, walk the walk and talk the talk and done what needs to get done to become the person running this podcast right now. And by the way, podcasts are awesome things. Podcasts are wonderful things to really explore today. So you are right there on the leading edge, let's say. And your story really fascinated me, especially how you have that background now in doing the technical productions.
mm-hmm.
That
Yes.
that was like, wow, I'm all ears because I've never done anything. I don't think I could. I cannot, Margot, when I write in my blog, which I love to do, and
Uh,
I can write these wonderful articles and these blog posts, then I have to create pictures for them. And I cringe because I know my daughter's going to read it and she's going to call me up and say, Mom, that picture's awful. Take it down and make a new one. I'm like, I don't know how. I'm just not a picture person. It looks perfectly fine to me because I like it. No, it's not good. Okay.
Well, I thank you for your kind words. And I find that when you're authentic, then you draw authentic people to yourselves. And I had to go into this podcasting thing, telling my story and not deviating, no matter how uncomfortable it would make some people, and going ahead and owning the fact that I love podcasting. And yes, it is up and coming, but you know what? There's people like me that can help you set up a podcast, that help you do an audio, video conversation. And hey, I'm a baby boomer, but you don't have to know it all. There's a guest that I had, Elaine Fluker, and she came on and she really changed my thinking about having it all, knowing it all. She said, support is sexy and you can have it all without knowing it all. And that resonated with me for the longest. And one day it clicked. You're right. I don't have to know everything. I just need to know the folks that can do the stuff that I like to do. And I learn what I'm going to learn and I keep it pushing, But this podcasting stuff, I love it. And I'm glad that it was born out of my story. I am so grateful. I really, really am. But dear lady, I want people to know more about you, the entrepreneur, because you are a exceptional entrepreneur. You have created not one business. You've done several of them. And you told us about how you got this thing of wanting to be an entrepreneur, how you got that flavor, how you got that taste. So when you are working with others so that they make sure that they're realizing their talent, what are some of the steps? What is it like to work with Yvonne Di Vita?
Well, it's unique. I just want to go back to that support is sexy thing.
Oh, okay.
Wow. That is awesome. And you know what? That's exactly what we're doing here is we're supporting each other. And that's what I like to see more of. And I don't like it when I see articles that talk about how women fight all the time.
Oh,
no, they don't. I mean, occasionally there are women that don't get along and they might be part of something like the article talks about. But by and large, I have only met women like you who are willing to support other women. And so that is what I do in essence, is I'm going to support you if you want help either building a new business or taking your current business to the next level. So my support is to work with you over Zoom. We do video Zoom calls because I generally work with women who are not in my local area. Mm-hmm. And the first thing we do is we talk about what the expectations and the goals are for the business. Because, Margot, I do find that women have to be pulled back a little bit. Because, again, you can't run before you learn to walk. Yes. And the other big thing that we do when we work together is we look at, is the business that you're in the business you should be in? And that comes back to my concept of big ideas, because generally women are full of big ideas, more than one. And I keep reminding them when I meet them and work with them, I say, you can only ride one bicycle at one time. You yes. cannot ride two bicycles at the same time. So let's pick one bicycle and let's take it where it needs to go. And then what we'll do after that is we'll figure out, where are they on the whole journey? Where are they at the beginning, in the middle? Are they farther along? And what do they need? What tools do they need? What do they need to learn to get moving forward, get to the next step, reach those goals, manage those challenges? And this will be done over Zoom over a period of time. And I take notes and then I give people homework. And then we get together in the next week. And if they haven't done their homework, well, they get a little speaking to. But in between, there's always email contact also. And the goal, of course, is to make them self-sufficient. I do not ever want them to continue to be dependent on me for the next 10 years. It's 3 to 6 months. And if we need a little bit longer, we can do it. But generally, that puts them on the right path. Plus, Margot, I will introduce them to you if they need to, if a podcast is something they should be doing. And that's the big part of what I bring.
Wow. You said some really interesting things, and a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but I know some people are leery as far as taking on a coach, a mentor. As a matter of fact, one of my guests came on. She said, Margot, do you know how many people who are in business actually invest in themselves? I said, no. She said 3%.
Yep.
Yvonne, I almost fell off my chair. I was insulted. You hear me? I thought, how dare you? How can you be a entrepreneur? How can you be a support system when you don't have anybody supporting you? So when I hear you say, I don't have people connected at the hip forever, 3 to 6 months, and you're up to speed. That's what I'm talking about. Connecting people, getting them going in an organic way, and letting them fly. Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it.
Yes. Well, because the back in the day when blogging was brand new, Margot, my husband and I taught people. We were among the first people who went out and started blogs and were successful turning them into a business. And by that I mean the blogs attracted people that turned into clients. And that was when I was doing my publishing books business. And we realized that many of the small businesses in our local area wanted to blog, but they were afraid. They were like, this is the new shiny toy. I don't know how to do it. I'll wait. Wait, no, you don't need to wait. So we had a business and we taught people how to blog. And a number of people thought, hey, okay, you're good at this. You blog for me. And we're like, no, I'm not you. I cannot blog for you. You have to have your own blog. I will teach you. We would build a blog. We would have workshops and we would have 10 people. And each person would build their own blog while we were in the workshop. And then we would teach them how to put in images, how to put in content, how to get it out into the world. This was before Facebook and Twitter and all those other social media things were so popular. And, then we would say to them, you need to be authentic. You need to use, I do this and I have these experiences, and not talk about yourself in the third person. And basically, that was one of the times that was so fulfilling, because several of those small businesses will come back and we'll see some of the owners today and they'll say, the best thing I ever did was take that blogging class from you.
Bottom line,
awesome.
Invest in yourself. You can never go wrong. And then when you're connected with somebody who's already doing what you want to do, it is simply a win-win. And the time that you shaved off of the learning curve for these folks is phenomenal. And the fact that you've been in business, you are in business, you have run several businesses, you can actually get a person started. And then you can help a person to level up. Because once you get started, you have to keep going with the business, which is what I'm finding out now, ready to scale up. And I'm looking at the clock. I don't want to finish this conversation, but because we could go on and on and on. I feel as though we're on the same train tracks here, But I just want to ask you one thing about that scaling up. We get started, and then we get comfortable, that big C word. How hard is it that you find to actually help a person level up, scale themselves so that they can go to that next level?
Well, it depends on the person, Margot. It depends on how well and able they are to put in the work, because it's not an overnight thing again. It's also something that requires commitment and dedication. It might require a little bit of investment, because sometimes there are new tools that they have to invest in to help them grow. And I find that probably 90% of the women that I work with are ready. They're ready. they're going to put the work in. Some of them put the work in, but it's a little bit slower because not everybody moves at the same pace. So they need a little bit more hand holding. But other ones just run. They just suddenly it becomes like, wow, I didn't even know this. And one young girl that I worked with, I actually taught her how to create a one-page document, a marketing document for her to share with everyone because she was starting this new business. And I taught her how to build a list in the document. So I can offer you these things, and here's why that would be. And she's like, I didn't know I could do that.
Oh.
And here's Yvonne thinking, I thought everybody knew that. I didn't say that out loud, but I'm thinking to myself, I have to remember. Even I have to stop and say, Yvonne, remember, not everybody knows what you know.
Yeah. I have to do the same thing when it's time for guests to come on. Everybody doesn't know about the mic and that type of thing. And some people are actually very intimidated. So the will is there, but the fear is talking every step of the way. So
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Wow. Well, this has been, like I say, we're on the same train tracks. Loved you from the moment that we had our first conversation. I just have two other questions, and they're fun questions. I just want to know about your favorite food, number one. And then the last question that we're going to end up with is, what book are you reading or podcast are you listening to these days?
Well, my favorite food is pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And I want lots of veggies on my pizza. I don't want pepperoni. I don't want sausage. I mean, I'm not a vegetarian 100%, but I don't want it. I just want a whole lot of veggies on my pizza. And then I'm happy. It's funny, in Colorado, when Tom and I lived there, we got used to these thin crust pizzas. Because here in New York, they make these really heavy, like Chicago, thick crust pizzas. And that's what I always ate. But I don't like them anymore now. I'm used to the thin crust and I'm used to the vegetables. So I really love my pizza when loaded with vegetables. I have to tell you, this book that my daughter sent me, because I asked her to send it to me for my birthday, and she did. It's a New York Times bestseller. And Margot, I have an office full of books about women, by women, for women, whatever, because I read all the time about phenomenal, fantastic women and the things that they do, so I can share them and show clients and prospects. Look at this story. This is the story now, the book I'm reading is called A Woman of No Importance.
Wow.
The untold story of the American spy who helped win World War II.
Wow.
And the author is Sonia, Sonia Purnell, Purnell. And it's the story of a woman who was a spy during the war. She worked in the Gestapo, I think. Oh, wow. Someone recommended this on Facebook, and I thought, I have got to get that book, because how fascinating is that? I just started it. It just came. And I mean, the title alone, A Woman of No Importance. And, I know in this book, I'm going to find out she really was very important.
Wow. I'm grateful that you brought that up, because a woman of no importance, it's kind of how a lot of women feel anyway.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. Wow. Well, I tell you what, this is our first conversation here on Her Business, Her Voice. I'm sure that it will not be the last. When you come back, then I want to get into the book and I want to find out how you feel about it, and how you parallel it with other clients that you're working with. This has been phenomenal. Our conversation on women stepping over their fear and starting their businesses, scaling up. Talent creates magic, and magic is what makes you money. And Yvonne Di Vita has taken us into what is our talent. What does this look like? How do we work this? How do we monetize it? And what does a big idea have to do with anything? This lady is so fascinating. How can we find you? How can people get in contact with you? I found you on LinkedIn for one thing, but how do you want people to reach out to you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, the site is nurturingbigideas.com, because that's what I do. I nurture. I don't dictate. I don't beat people up. I nurture. My goal is to, honey, make you feel good about what you want to do and watch you blossom. So nurturingbigideas.com. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn and on Facebook under a Nurturing Big Ideas or Yvonne. A lot of people just, it's been so long that I've been doing this. People just look for my name, Yvonne Di Vita.
Yvonne Di Vita, I have to thank you a million times. And everybody, listen to this show more than once, because Yvonne was very transparent, and she gave us a lot of tips and insight, something that will help you to deal with your fears. You'll be able to understand how it is to work with her. It sounds like a marvelous journey. So there's a lot of value here. Do not underestimate anything that you hear in this conversation. And as always, it's hard for me to sign off, but I must, so that I can come back with another episode next week. But in the meantime, take a listen 2, 3, 4 times. Share this out with others, because especially with us boomers, there's so many of us coming out of corporate. There are so many of us that have dreams and aspirations and big ideas that we really need to make a move on, because the world is waiting for us. People have told us this a million times, but I want you to take it to heart. The world is waiting for you to bring your big idea to fruition. Give it life, give it breath, and you guys run with it, okay? So I'm Margaret Levette. I'll be back next week. In the meantime, take care. Bye-bye now. I want to thank you for listening to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Couple of things that I want you to do right now. Go to my website, pick up a copy of Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention, how I went from game show hopping to international show host, author, and speaker in 1 year. Number 2, please freely listen to each and every episode. Share them out with your family, friends, the men in your lives. And then number 3, get in contact with me, one of the experts that have been on the show, because I want to make sure that you reinvent yourself. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode here on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.